Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. It's going on 10 o'clock now, but I couldn't go to bed just yet. I want to try and get another video out. One last video out for the night. End it off on a strong note. Uh, the world has always been crazy. It seems like things move way too fast. When huge events happen, it just seems like it doesn't even register for you in the moment, but it's very possible that history is happening right before your eyes, right? And I'm pretty sure that when Rome fell, people at the time didn't realize just how much of an impact that would leave the world. When the American Revolution began, I don't think people really understood what was going on until, the cannons and blind fire and everything like that. And violence can happen the same way, right? And that's what I was leading into. One moment things may be fine, and then the next moment, shit's just popping off. So what do you do for that? How do you make your life safer? Because you're never going to prevent someone from being violent towards you. That's never going to happen, right? Someone's going to face violence at some point in their life. It's just the way that it is. For whatever reason, I don't know, but they will. So what do? You take matters into your own hands, and you train, not just hand-to-hand combat, not just with small arms weapons, just knives and crossbows and bows and stuff like that, but firearms as well, shotguns, rifles, pistols. Have a knowledge in these things, because it does mean the difference between life and death. Get out on the range, right? Start target practicing. Start practice hitting moving targets, right? Go to the gym, learn some boxing, learn some Muay Thai, some Jiu-Jitsu, get active. The more fit you are, the more capable you'll be, right? The more trained you are, the more prepared you'll be. I was, I want to say it was either yesterday or the day before. I was pumping my gas. I was at the local gas station and pulled in. I wasn't even there 5 minutes. And there was a guy to the aisle to the left of me pumping his gas, and I guess either his friend or his girlfriend pulled up, and she was saying how someone shot her car, and she was literally holding up the ball, the bullet. That's insane, man. And for a second there, I thought she was bullshitting, until I saw the bullet hole in her door. Dude, I mean, and people are so open about, violence too. No, I mean, there have been numerous occasions where I've heard people down the street screaming at each other, right? Just arguing loud as hell. And I've heard gunfire, I'm pretty sure. Um, Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference with fireworks and gunfire, you know. Um, but most of the time, I can tell the difference, and I've definitely heard some gunfire for sure. You know, a lot of places aren't safe, right? So use your intuition. You know, that instinct, that gut feeling that something isn't right, it's there for a reason. Listen to it, right? We've evolved over millions of years to help us survive in certain kinds of situations. And our body is really good at telling us that, hey, danger's around. So you got to listen to it. But a lot of people, when they enter that fight, flight, or freeze mode, they freeze. They don't know what to do. So that's where training and constant practice really comes into play. You're never really going to be fully prepared for, whatever may happen. But at least you're more prepared than what you were if you didn't do anything at all. So you can't depend on someone else to protect you, right? Cops usually take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, and that's if you can call them, fast enough. And if you're in a 500 square foot house like I am, someone breaks in that door, it's going to take them a few seconds. I always sleep with my Glock by my head every single night. I take my Glock with me just about everywhere I go. You never know, man. You never know just who might lose their shit, right? So that's how you can be safer. Just with practical, training applications such as those. But I mentioned the intuition. Obviously, don't go to dark places, right? Always stay in public, open spaces where there are people around. Don't go anywhere, right, at night alone, right, with not many people around. That's how people go missing. And that's how people get shot, get killed, right? People put themselves in these situations, I'm they could have avoided. All of it could have been avoided, right? They don't take measures to defend themselves, right? And they put themselves in bad situations. And then they wonder why, the world is the way it is, right? And unfortunately, if they make it out, right, unfortunately they're scarred. And now they're taking action, right, to prevent the next time. And it shouldn't have to take that. It really shouldn't. So learn self-defense, right? But also if you're going to take the responsibility upon yourself, right, as you should, and properly defending yourself with hand-to-hand combat, with either OC spray, mace, bear spray, tasers, knives, firearms. Look into something called use of force. Okay, use of force will mean the difference, right, in court, right? Because there's something called capability, opportunity, and intent. Okay, that is what pretty much makes it okay for lethal force. Um, I'm not giving advice. I'm not saying that at all, right? What I am saying, I'm not giving legal advice at all. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not any kind of guy like that. But my training has taught me that if all three of those are met, right, then there's uh, there is acceptance for lethal force, self-defense, right, or defense of others, right. So if a guy aims a gun at you, or if he or she aims a gun at someone else, right, the capability is there because they have the gun in their hand and they can pull the trigger, right. The opportunity is there because they're present in the situation, right. And the intent obviously is there because they're pointing the gun at either you or another person, right. So there's grounds for self-defense, right, and that's a part of use of force, right. So make sure you're up to date on the laws, right, and that you act accordingly. Look into the castle doctrine. Look into all these things, because that stuff is really important. It really is, guys. It really is. In a time where gun owners are constantly attacked, you want to make sure your basis is covered, right? And make sure you also get a good lawyer too. I'm hearing that USCCA is doing some sketch stuff. I've seen some YouTubers, throw the specific thing that if you lose, right, your case, then USCCA can come after you. I tried looking in their policies. I may have overlooked it. I didn't see it. But if you guys do know for sure that it is true, please let me know. I've had USCCA for a little bit, and I don't have them right now because I want to be sure I have the right people to get my back. But you want to make sure your bases are covered. So, again, guys, I'm not giving legal advice at all. I'm not a lawyer, right? Not a judge or anything. The only thing I'm doing is passing along some information to you guys, right? And telling you guys that you should look into it, right? That's the only advice that I am giving, is that you should look into this stuff, right? By no means is it legal. I just want to be clear. So, I don't get sued. So, but kind of recap, make sure you take care of yourself. Go learn some combat sports. Be able to fight hand-to-hand combat. Be able to defend yourself and others, right? Learn how to use a knife. Learn how to use a bow. Learn how to use firearms. And be good at it, right? Train. Because you never know when things may pop off. And you don't want to be that guy that freezes. I'm telling you, you don't want to be that guy that freezes. The one that freezes is typically the one that goes first. Almost every time. So don't put yourself in bad situations, right? Trust your gut, trust your instinct, trust your intuition, and always be in open, well lit, well populated spaces, right? And look, guys, it does not hurt, right, to sleep with something to protect yourself right by you. Okay, it doesn't hurt. It makes me feel more comfortable, honestly. It really does. So that's pretty much all I got. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. Thanks for tuning in, guys. You know, if you've listened to this point, please leave a comment. Right. Let me know what your favorite gun is. Okay. Let's start the conversation with that. Let's see. What is mine? I like so many of them. I'm just gonna go off on a limb and probably say it's definitely gonna be the Colt 1911. Definitely gonna be right. Just because, look, it won 2 world wars. It's been many different places. So that's another thing too, guys. I forgot. Keep your situational awareness up. Right. I see way too many people. They're always heads down in their phone. Right. Not looking around. You can walk into traffic that way. Right. Or something else could happen. Right. What's situational awareness? Well, situational awareness, right, is to be able to perceive everything around you, right? To be aware of everything that's happening around you. That's situational awareness, right? If you know you have bad situational awareness, you need to work on it, and you need to pick you really need to pick the pace up. So, but that's pretty much it. I'm gonna wrap it up here. A little bit over time. I try to keep this around 10-15 minutes. So, again, let me know what you guys' favorite gun is, and we can start the conversation off that way. As always, boys, take care of yourself. Okay, and my ladies too. Take it in your own hands. Right, a gun is an equalizer. Okay, you're not as physically as strong as a man. Right, you're just gonna have to get over that fact. Right, a gun is an equalizer. Right, so learn how to use it. Okay, all right. And that goes for everybody. Right, so appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't have anything else you'd like me to go over, I'm thinking about doing some tutorials. I've been talking about self-improvement and getting into new hobbies. Guys, I can teach you a little bit how to play guitar. I can teach you a little bit on how to fish. I can teach you a little bit on how to shoot. Right. I have no problem with doing tutorials like that. Right. I think it's a great opportunity to teach you guys something. Right. And we all benefit from that. So let me know if you want me to start doing that. At some point, I'd like to have some conversations with you guys. I'd like to start I'd like to start streaming, right? have you guys on board for the ride, talk with you guys for a little bit, right? Hear your stories, and then get to know you a little bit, and you know help you guys figure it out just as much as I am. Um, so I'm not some guru though. I don't have it all figured out, but what I do know I will share with you guys, and you know let's figure this out together. Let's hop on this journey with me, guys. Hop on this journey with me. Let's go somewhere. Let's be better tomorrow than we were today. All right. So let's go somewhere. So all right, I'm rambling on. All right. Appreciate you guys. Um, Leave a like and subscribe. Spread this message. Uh, Share this. With your girlfriend, with your boyfriend, with your family members. Right. But for my guys out there, especially share this with your boys. All right. You guys um, really need to build some more close networks, right? Some boys that you can call up 2:30 in the morning and they'll answer, right? Go out to the range with your boys, go fishing with your boys. Um, there's not a whole lot of community for men left now, right? So it's important that we really start building up that brotherhood. So take care of each other as much as you take care of yourselves. All right. So that being said, I appreciate you guys tuning in, and talk to you soon.